Upstanding. It's rather unfortunate we don't have the sound and then the keyboard, so we're going to sing it manually, and you agree with me. So I'll raise the tune and then we'll go. So the first stanza, UCC, UCC, we are the loveliest of them all. Are we ready, please? Okay, so shall we? 1, 2, 3, go. UCC, UCC, we are the loveliest of them all. UCC, UCC, we are the teachers of the nation. We learn to teach, we find out and pass on. We counsel, we guide, that all may be enlightened. UCC. Therefore arise to your call, UCC, UCC. To the call, let us rise. To our call, let us rise. Where it is nubis, lumen, UCC, UCC. Therefore arise to your call, UCC, UCC. To the call, let us rise. To our call, let us rise. Where it is lumen, lumen. UCC, UCC. We are the humblest of them all. UCC, UCC. We are the bedrock of all knowledge. Being proud of this, with students and workers in consent shall work, that your image may be heightened. UCC, UCC. Therefore arise to your call, UCC, UCC. To the call, let us rise. To our call, let us rise. Where it is lumen, lumen, UCC, UCC. Therefore arise to your call, UCC. To the call, let us rise. To our call, let us rise. Veritas nubis, lumen. UCC, UCC. We are the kindest of them all. UCC, UCC. We are the brainchild of Nkrumah. We train, we mold, and live by his vision to impart of virtues that Ghana may be strengthened. UCC, UCC. Therefore rise to your call, UCC, UCC. To the call, let us rise. To our call, let us rise. Veritas nubis, lumen, UCC, UCC. Rise to your call, UCC, UCC. To the call, let us rise. To our call, let us rise. Veritas nubis, lumen. I think you have done very well. Please clap for yourselves. Thank you so very much. Let's resume our seats. Thank you. Our chairman for this morning's public lecture is the senior most provost of the University of Cape Coast. And he is the administrative head for the College of Agric and Natural Sciences, and in the person of Professor Moses Jojo Egan. Let's welcome Professor Jojo to give us the welcome address. Shall we keep doing it for him even as he mounts the stadium?
Thank you very much, MC. Good morning. There response is low. Good morning. Don't worry, UCC, they always give breakfast. So after here, we'll give you breakfast. So you just shout. Don't worry about the energy that you're going to spend out. So, as you all know, this program should have been chaired by our Vice Chancellor. But unfortunately, there are some pressing issues that he cannot be available this morning. So I'm standing in for the Vice Chancellor. And I'll say that when they ask you to stand in for the Vice Chancellor, it's a privilege. So I'll accept to chair. Thank you. So in order to also to be part of it, I'll say that we need to also give a welcoming address also. And in that, I have to also do the same. So, registrar, my registrar here, my own big boss, Professor Bonzi Simpson, the former Vice Chancellor for Jimpa and the former Vice Chancellor for Methodist University, double. All provosts here, deans, heads of department, distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Stephen Apia-Padi, the Director of the Office of Global and Off-Campus Education of Bucknell University, Dr. Samba Dieng, NAFSA board member, faculty, senior members, senior administrators present, staff, students present, the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning once again. I bring you greetings and apologies from the university management who are currently out of campus for another equally important university assignment. The Vice Chancellor, especially, would have loved to be part of this engagement, but had to leave for Accra at the last minute, as I said earlier on. Notwithstanding, on behalf of the university community, it is a great honor to welcome all of you to the University of Competitive Choice, the #1 university in Ghana and the #1 in West Africa. I'm deeply humbled, because I'm standing in the foot of the Vice Chancellor to chair this public lecture on the topic, Advancing International Education Exchange, Partnership between Africa Higher Education Institutions and NAFSA, Association of International Educators. By mandate, the Office of International Relations is responsible for managing all matters relating to international programs. Therefore, the office mandates highlights some of the official roles that the international education exchange plays in fostering global understanding, promoting cultural diversity, and driving economic development. The University of Cape Coast has long-standing relation with NAFSA and deems it a great pleasure to receive the president of NAFSA as she delivers the public lecture as a way of exploring innovative ways of advancing partnership between NAFSA and higher educational institutions in Africa. In the past, the university has participated in NAFSA annual conference and expo, which brings together international educators from around the world to explore innovation and the best practices in the field of international education. The partnership between Africa Higher Education Institutions and NAFSA is particularly significant as it seeks to leverage the strength and expertise of both parties to promote mutual benefit and collaboration. This partnership has the potential to enhance the quality of education, promote faculty and students' mobility, and foster research collaborations between African institutions and their international counterparts. I believe this public lecture and the interactions afterwards will focus on the opportunities and the challenges of advancing international education exchange, the importance of reciprocity, mutual respect, equitability, in partnership. It's also an opportunity to deepen the partnership between the university and NAFSA, and for participants to learn, collaborate, discover solutions to enhance internationalization in the university. I would like to express my gratitude to the Office of International Relations and NAFSA for making this initiative possible. I hope you will take this advantage of this opportunity to exchange ideas and forge networks. Finally, I encourage our speaker to the time of experience in Ghana. That's to take time to experience Ghana and these beautiful cities, especially the tourist sites in Accra and our beloved Cape Coast. On this note, I accept to chair this function, which I've already done, and I wish you the best in your deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You can do it better for our chairman. Before our speaker mounts the podium to speak to us, we want to have her profile. Profile of Dr. Fanta Ao. She is the CEO and Executive Director, NAFSA, Association of International Educators. Fanta Ao, PhD, currently serves as the Executive Director and the Chief Executive Officer of NAFSA, Association of International Educators, having previously held its presidency from 2013 to 2016. NAFSA is the world's largest and the most comprehensive international education association with more than 10,000 members at more than 4,000 institutions in 140 plus countries. NAFSA is dedicated to the advancement of international education and exchange. Dr. Ao is dedicated to addressing pivotal issues. She often serves as a keynote speaker, sharing her expertise on various topics, including internationalization, international educational exchange, diversity, equity and inclusion, student success, women in leadership, global trends, geopolitics, public policy, and immigration. Dr. Ao is also a chairperson for innovation and transformation in the realm of higher education. She speaks to the importance of humanity coexisting with artificial intelligence and the social responsibility of educators in preparing and nurturing the next generation of our empathic leaders. Our speaker is dedicated more than 3 decades to American University in Washington, D.C., where she earned a BSc in accounting, a Master of Arts in Public Administration with a specialization in organizational development, and a PhD in sociology with a focus on international education, social stratification, political economy, and transnational migration. During her extensive tenure at the AU, Dr. Ao led several leadership positions, including serving as the Vice President of Undergraduate Enrollment, Campus Life, and Inclusive Excellence. She has been recognized as the award-winning lecturer while holding the title as Senior Professional Lecturer at AU School of International Service. In 2023, her significant contributions to the AU were honored with the Niall Kelvin Alumni Achievement Award. Dr. Ao serves on numerous boards, including the Board of Directors for World Education Service, that is WES, the Times Higher Education, International Education Advisory Board, and the International Advisory Council for Fundação Domes Catru, the top business school in Brazil, and an advisor on the Expert Council of the Talent Mobility Fund. She previously chaired the ETS Tvucc board. Originally from Mali, Dr. Ao has lived both East and West Africa, as well as the United States. gaining a broad and diverse cultural perspective. Her passion for global experiences has led her to explore more than 60 countries. Her knowledge has been acknowledged by major global media outlets such as the CNN, Agence France Presse, USA Today, the Washington Post, the Chronicle of Higher Education, National Public Radio, the Middle East Broadcast Corporation, the Washington Business Journal, and then the WAMU, Washington Diplomat, and China Daily, among others. She's going to speak to us on the topic, Advancing International Education, Exchange Partnership between African and NAFSA Association of International Educators. With a sounding round of applause, shall we welcome to the podium Dr. Fanta, the CEO and the Executive Director of NASPA, to give us her lecture. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is such an honor and a privilege to be with all of you here this morning. This is my first trip to Ghana, believe it or not. Even though I'm from a neighboring country, Mali, this is my first trip, but I can promise you it will not be my last. I want to thank the University of Cape Coast. Thank you. I would also really like to thank especially the Office of International Relations, the Vice Chancellors, and all the deans. Thank you for your hospitality, and it is really a privilege to be at the preeminent institution of excellence, not only in West Africa, but all of Africa. You should take immense pride in what you have accomplished as a university. As someone who gets to travel around the world and meet with lots of universities, I know that in order to achieve excellence, it takes a couple of things. It takes a strong vision, but a vision is not enough. It takes having faculty and deans who are dedicated to a robust curriculum, but more than anything else, it takes a love for learning and understanding the value that education brings to every single person. For me, the honor here today is to be able to speak to you about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I have spent 30 plus years working in the field of international education because, you see, I'm the product of international education, and I understood the opportunity that it afforded me, and it really led me to believe that every single student deserves to get the best education and deserves to be at the best institutions that they can. And University of Cape Coast is one of those examples of excellence as university. So congratulations on that. So as you heard, NAFSA, the Association of International Educators, we're 76 years old. So we've been around for a period of time. And as an association, our work has focused on a couple of things. First and foremost, we see ourselves as a bridge builders. We see the role of universities to be absolutely essential for societal growth and absolutely essential for societal mobility for students and families as well. We as an organization work with universities across the globe, and our work is really focused on internationalization of universities. And I've said this before in places that I've been in, internationalization is not a new concept, and it's not nice to have. It is necessary in the 21st century. Every institution of preeminence has to think of itself as an international university. Why is that? Because there's several things. One, there is not one single country, there's not one single discipline, there's not one single area that can solve the critical world problems that we confront. Everything from environmental issues, everything from climate change, from migration, epidemics, and all of that requires a different mindset. It requires collaborations among nations. It requires collaboration among institutions. It requires interdisciplinary learning across our disciplines. I'm a sociologist, but you heard also that I have a background in accounting and finance. And I have a background in public administration because I believe that interdisciplinary learning is how we begin to solve some of the critical issues of our time. And so as I'm here today, I wanted to find out how many of you are students in this room? How many are students? Okay. So first and foremost, my message today is to you. Every time I have an opportunity to come and speak at a university, I always like to be able to have time with students. Why? Because I believe that the students of today are not only our present, but you are our future. You are really our hope for a better future, because you are in many ways the leaders of not just today, but the leaders of tomorrow. So here's my challenge to each and every one of you as students here. You are here at one of the best institutions, not only in the country, not only in West Africa, but in Africa. You have been given an incredible privilege to be here at an institution such as University of Cape Coast. Make sure you make the best of your education here, but most importantly, never forget your social responsibility. As you graduate from here, you will have to ask yourself one important question. What is going to be my purpose in society? How am I going to better the lives of others who come after me? And how am I going to be a positive contributor for good in my society? The faculty, the deans, the vice chancellors, all of the administrators and others, our goal as teachers, as educators, is to prepare the next generation of leaders. You have a major responsibility on your shoulders. And that is a responsibility that we as educators take seriously, and a responsibility that I know you all take seriously as well. So to the topic back of international exchange and international education. Africa boasts the youngest population globally, with over 60% of the population that is under the age of 25. I've always said Africa is the renaissance of the world. Because when you have a population that is a young population like we have in Africa, that is your superpower as countries and as a continent. And as a result, we need to make sure that this generation of young leaders are prepared for the world of not just today, but the world of tomorrow and decades to come. We know that for your generation as students, you will be changing jobs many times, because our world is very different today than the world that I came from. We also know that as a world that is very different, you're going to confront challenges that we did not confront. So you will have to be more prepared than we have ever been prepared. And this is why you're here today. So as I think about Africa as a renaissance, I know that the continent is experiencing significant economic growth, technological innovation, and increasing global influence. Africa absolutely deserves that. It is a continent that is rich in culture, rich in history, rich in traditions, and it is a very, very important part of the world. Urbanization is accelerating, with projections indicating that by 2035, 6 African cities will have population exceeding 10 million. That is a massive challenge for any of our countries, because we know that with urbanization comes also the need to think about not just development of our big cities, but the development of our rural areas, because our rural areas are very, very important. So it is the collective responsibility for all of us to harness the Africa demographic dividend through strategic collaboration in higher education. And there are several opportunities that we have. One is the mobility of students and thinking of exchange programs. Over 624,000 African students are pursuing higher education abroad. This is a major increase when we compare it to 2010. We know that inter-Africa student mobility is rising due to shifting migration policies in the West and economic factors. That is a very good development for Africa. So what we need to do is figure out how we can accelerate these bilateral exchange programs, how we can leverage opportunities, whether it's funding opportunities, scholarship opportunities for the mobility of students. We also know that the majority of students will live in one country and will not have the opportunity to necessarily engage in exchange. So what we have to do as institutions is internationalize at home. It is leveraging the curriculum It is leveraging all of what our university offer so that students who may not have an opportunity to study in another part of the region or even outside of Africa have the same opportunities to be part of an internationalized curriculum. That is a very, very important part of what we need to do. When I think of, for example, China, China has 80,000 scholarships for African students. Every time I've been to China, I've seen the number of students increase in China. In the United States, we're seeing an increase in students from Ghana, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Kenya, and the remainder of Africa. But the solution is not that every student has to go overseas, but it is very important that every student have an opportunity to get an international, an intercultural perspective in their learning. So the ability, for example, to do joint research to address some of our global and regional challenges is of utmost importance. And I know that on the continent, there's a lot of very good research and joint projects between universities, and that is quite important. We know that knowledge sharing is quite important, but I've always said it needs to be relevant for Africa. It doesn't have to be the Western way. That is not the solution. The solution is it needs to be indigenous to Africa because we have much knowledge in our continent and we have a lot of innovation in our continent that the rest of the world can benefit from understanding and the rest of the world can learn from. So the ability to initiate collaborative research, integrate indigenous knowledge systems into global research efforts is a real opportunity for us. We need to build capacity in tertiary education in sub-Saharan Africa. And because we know that, between 2000 and just in 2018, there's been already a doubling of students who need tertiary education in all of Africa. We know that governments have significantly increased the number of doctoral programs, strengthened faculty quality. We know that many Africans in the diaspora have been coming back to figure out how they can contribute to the educational system in lots of different ways. So our ability to think about curriculum, our ability to think about leveraging what is our strength is quite important. There is also technology, and I've said one of the benefits for Africa is that we've been able to leapfrog because technology has afforded us really some new and different opportunities. For example, I know many countries in Africa now are engaged in exchange in collaborative online international learning. We call that COIL, where they're doing exchanges virtually that allows faculty to have curriculum that are shared, students to be able to learn together with each other. So we have opportunity with technology and digital platforms to bridge some of the geographical barriers and enhance global collaboration. There are also here opportunities for equitable and sustainable partnerships. It's important for all of us in the West to respect Africa's strength. Recognizing and integrating Africa's diverse educational model is key. It is important for those coming from the West and other parts to avoid extractive engagement. All too often we come and in the West comes and take. Instead, we need to have reciprocity with long-term benefits for African institutions. Whatever partnerships must be beneficial first and foremost for African institutions. And I talked about the role of the African diaspora. There are over 170 million African folks who are living globally outside of the continent. There's a tremendous capacity possible there. And so our ability to bridge the gap with the academics is quite important. So for me, my message is simple here. As NAFSA, we're here to listen. We're here to understand what the opportunities are. We're here to serve as a bridge and as a partner to you. We want to foster inclusive global education community around the world by creating collaborative structures for it. We want to facilitate networking and knowledge sharing by connecting African higher education with international institutions in different parts of the world. We work with over 11,000 members in over 4,500 institutions around the world in 150 plus countries. There's an opportunity for knowledge sharing. We want to support your internationalization goals by helping and supporting as much as we can African institutions as they continue to develop strategies for global engagement. So my call to action is this: let us work together. Let NAFSA and our higher education institutions work on strategic planning and long-term partnership. Let us figure out how we can best leverage the resources of NAFSA in the initiatives that are taking place. Let us be your partners in the way that is most suitable for you. Let us think about joint pathways for students and faculty exchange, research, collaboration, and policy engagement. And in conclusion, let me say, Africa's role as a key player in the global higher education landscape is unimaginable, and it is critical. Let us share a vision for thriving African universities through international collaboration. And so we are here for dialogue. We are here to listen. We are here to understand what is the ecosystem and how we can best support this ecosystem. So to each and every one of you here today, it is indeed my honor to be here in Ghana. And like I said, it will definitely not be my last trip to Ghana. And with that, I want to open the floor for some questions and some comments. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Please do it better for our speaker. So as Doc rightly said, if you have any question, you want to, any observation, please, you are at liberty to do that. You raise your hand and then the microphone is given to you and then you ask. She's giving us that opportunity. So who is going to start with us? Can we have somebody from the communications department? Should I come to you? Yes. So Doc want to ask us a question.
So the question that I have, and this is a question particularly for our deans who are in the room. Yesterday I heard from your Vice Chancellor about really the areas of research that you're focused on and the pivotal areas of research. And I'm curious to hear perhaps a little bit about some of the opportunities you see for joint research collaborations between you and perhaps some other universities, not only within Africa, but in other places. Maybe some of your deans can help me understand what are your research priorities and what do you see opportunities for engagement in collaborative research?
Doc, is it possible to probably, maybe the question can come again so that, thank you.
So the question is about collaborative research. I heard from your Vice Chancellor that there's a very big emphasis on research, and particularly around sustainability was one of the example of research area. And I'm curious to understand a little bit on the research front, what collaborative opportunities exist with other faculty in other parts of Africa and or in other parts of the world that is currently taking place.
Thank you.
Dr. Fanta, I understand you asked about the research focus of the university. I will attempt to provide some information. So the university intermittently developed a comprehensive research agenda which stems from the various colleges. So each college has a research center, and we have 5 colleges in the university: the College of Agriculture and Natural Sciences, and the College of Health and Humanities Studies, the College of Education Studies, the College of Distance Education, and then College of Health and Allied Sciences. So each of these colleges developed its research agenda in relation to sustainable development and environment. So they look at issues that has to do with sustainable development and the future of the environment. There is a comprehensive document I can make available to you if you so wish after this program. I'll try and give you a copy of that. And then our research, Directorate of Research, Innovation and Consultancy coordinate the research activities of the university. So again, if there is time after this lecture, I can lead you to the place to get more information about that.
Oh, let's do it better for Mr. Alfred Gatti. I'm sure our lecturer would agree with me that he's done justice to the question. Thank you. So Doc is still asking that if anybody has any question, any observation. Okay, that's fine.
I have one question, but I'm asking the question as somebody who works in international education in terms of partnership between a foreign institution and an African institution. Most of the time, the complaint is about equity in terms of the partnership relations. I don't know if NAFSA addresses this and how what you can tell people here to what, for example, do they need to be doing in terms of partnership so that equity will be maintained in the partnership relations?
So the question that was raised is coming from more an institution in the United States. The question was about partnership and equity in partnership, and what should universities be able to do to ensure that the partnerships are equitable, and how does NAFSA think about that? So I think that there's a couple of things. One is that with the partnerships that are often engaged, many of them happen to be primarily around student exchange, but it's not just student exchange, it's collaborative research and others. One of the things that I've always said is, if the goal is to say, okay, you know what, we send you X number of students, you have to send the exact same number of students, chances are that that is not going to work. Because most of our institutions, because of the way tuition and fees, because of the way exchange happens, it is rare that it's 1-to-1 or 2-to-2 as the model of exchange. So often, what I often encourage institutions to do is to think out of the box and to think in innovative ways. Maybe one direction is students exchange, but maybe the other direction might be research, or maybe the other direction might be even staff exchange. So we have to think about a comprehensive model for equitable exchanges when it comes to partnerships with different institutions. Because otherwise, if we're looking at exchange 1-to-1, chances are that that is not going to work. A more equitable exchange is looking at faculty, staff, students, looking at research among those pieces is quite important. The other thing is, a lot of times I will hear universities say to me, oh, you know, I have a lot of MOUs. I've signed a lot of MOUs. And we often say those are feel-good MOUs. There's a difference between feel-good MOUs and real MOUs. It's not about the quantity that matters, it's about the quality of those exchanges that matters. You can have few exchanges with universities, but if they're long and sustainable and they're of quality, it is more important than to say we have 100 exchange programs and out of the 100, maybe 20 only are very active. So it's very important for us to understand the difference between feel-good MOUs and real MOUs is one of the ways that I would often think about. Also, I think as we think about exchange, it's not just mobility that is physical mobility. We have the technology now. So programs like COIL, collaborative online learning, are becoming more and more popular, and we're seeing that grow in Africa, where faculty may be teaching a class, maybe it's a course on marketing, but then they may be connected to a faculty member in Sao Paulo, Brazil, that is focused on marketing, and maybe connected with a faculty member in France that is in INSEAD that is focused on marketing, and the students in those 3 different universities in 3 different continents can be able to work on collaborative projects together and doing some work together. That's a very important part of how we think about educational exchange and how we think about collaborative work among universities. So We have many, many more models now of partnerships that are much more equitable than I would say than what we had maybe 10 years ago, where all it was is you send me 10 students, I'll send you 10. That model is outdated now. It's very, very outdated.
Hello. Okay. My name is Gladys Atajemfi Abekwe. I'm a 2017 NAFSA Global Dialogue Fellow. I would like to know, how can African institutions, be able to get what they really need, as in capacity building, from partnerships instead of dependency? I hope my question is clear. Thank you.
So the question was, what can universities really get out of partnerships that is sort of that is about capacity building rather than partnerships that are about dependency? I think there's a couple of ways that we move at that. One is that I always say if the partnership is that one feels like they have to depend on the other, it's probably not an equitable partnership. Because a true partnership that is a sustainable partnership sees that every side has something to bring, and that the knowledge sharing is a knowledge sharing across both ways. That it's not just coming in one direction and then it's being received, but that it's actually being shared in both ways. That's a very, very important part of the partnership. And the way to do that is that it's very important before institutions go into partnership to identify clearly what is each strength. What is the strength of my university? What is the strength of the other university? And can we agree that there's mutual respect for those strengths? So that when we're having this partnership, it's not just me feeling like, oh, I'm transferring knowledge here. There's transference of knowledge in both ways. And I think that's one of the ways to really move away from the dependent relationship. So let me just give an example. For many, I often say to them, there is so much knowledge here on the continent. So much knowledge that is older than many Western knowledge that is out there. We have to privilege the indigenous knowledge of our part of the world, and it's very important that partners coming from the West understand and respect that. Our institutions have existed for a long time. There's been a lot of innovations that has taken place. So when we're looking at partnerships, it's very important that the universities coming from other places don't just see, oh, we bring the strength and we're here to help. No, this is not charity. This is about knowledge, and this is about knowledge sharing, and that is a very, very important part of the relationship. And if the partner doesn't understand or appreciate that, then they're not necessarily the right partner for those purposes.
Any other question for our speaker? Okay.
Yes, up there. Yes.
All right. Please, my name is Abraham, NSS personnel at Institutional Review Board Secretariat, RIB. Please, my question is there a scholarship availability for students who wish to study abroad to master, either in master's or PhD? And if yes, what are the criteria and the processes to get it?
So the question was, are there any scholarship available for master's and PhD? And if so, what is the criteria? As an organization, NAFSA is focused primarily on the professionalization of the field. So we work primarily with the professionals who are involved in international education, who therefore then are working with students. So it's through our universities that our partners and our members of NAFSA, the students who are seeking to study overseas are able to, when they apply, at the master's or PhD level, can therefore apply for scholarships in those universities. And the scholarship varies from university to university. So students, when they're applying, really would have to look into what is the university offering in terms of scholarships. It is usually scholarships are more likely at the PhD level. There's some master's program who offer scholarship, of course, but it's more likely at the PhD level. and that is university to university, and not just in the US, because we work with partners all around. In Europe, Germany, you have some programs with partnerships. In the UK, there are programs with partnerships. In Canada as well. Japan has just made an announcement that it will be focused much more working with Africa. And as part of the Africa initiatives, they've just launched a new scholarship program for African students to be able to come to Japan for master's and doctoral levels to be able to work with them. China, I already mentioned, has lots of scholarship for African students. So it's really university by university. But if you're, for example, here in Ghana, and you're interested, let's say in the United States, you want to go and study for a master's or a PhD program, one of the ways you can find out about scholarship opportunities, but also universities, is through Education USA. Education USA has a center in Accra. They have a center in Kumasi. They work with students who are interested in wanting to go and study in the US. They can talk to you about the application process, the criteria. They can help you with a lot of that process, including where the scholarship opportunities are.
Thank you very much, Fanta. I know that international education is a professional area, just like accountancy, human resource, and any other profession. But in most of our African universities, as you may be aware from your engagement with them, staff in the international education are transferred or rotated for good reasons over a period of time. And this seemed to affect the relationship and the kind of engagement and collaboration the office may have developed over years. What measures is NAFSA putting in place to encourage such institutions to, as a matter of urgency or importance, keep the staff who have been trained and prepared to support internationalization in our universities?
Yeah. No, thank you for that question. It is the case that in most parts of the world, often the role of internationalization is carried forward by faculty members who rotate. They may get an appointment for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years as the lead person for internationalization, and then after that period of time, they go back to their discipline to do research and to teach and all of that. The challenge with that is that it makes it hard for a sustainable model of internationalization, because a lot of times partnerships are built on trust and they're built on relationships. And so often the people who are in these roles are building relationships with other university partners in different parts of the world. So when they rotate off, that brain trust is lost. And then many times the universities on the other end have to rebuild relationships with a new person. So really there are a couple of things that we talk about. One is that international education is a profession. NAFSA has mapped out the competencies, and there are 12 competency areas, whether it's business acumen, whether it's assessment, leadership cultivation. So there's 12 domain areas of knowledge that are really critical for successful implementation of all aspects of internationalization. For the universities that have rotating sort of faculty in these roles, it's really important to think about a sustainable model. And there are a couple of things that we often talk about. One is, you can have the International Relations Office, but it's important that every school has a point person that also is tasked with internationalization effort and that becomes a bridge to the International Relations Office. Many of the programs that are successful have that, where the deans of the schools have appointed people who are bridged to the international office, so that even when that rotation happened, you still have some consistency between the schools and the new person so that that capacity can be built quicker. That's one big piece of having a coordinated effort of collaboration, coordination, and communication. That's important. The other thing is, it's really important, I think, for universities that have these rotating chairs to know 3 years is not enough. Your first year, you're just getting started. Your second year, you're building your wing. Your third year, you're building the momentum, and then you all of a sudden rotate off. So the length needs to be done maybe a bit longer, in addition to having a point person in each of the school, and having a structure is going to be really, really important for both sustainability and for the durability of those initiatives. I was in Japan not too long ago. This was the exact same issue they were having. It's faculty members who are in charge of internationalization. And we're doing training with them, and we said, by the time the training and everything else is done, you will be rotating off, right? So the university has to think about the investment of time, the investment of knowledge that it takes to really master that, and needs to think both about the length and creating sort of coordinators' role within the different schools. I think that's quite important for the internationalization effort, because it takes time. It takes time to build those relationships. It takes time to see the yield of those partnerships. It's over many years that the partnerships begin to take fruit. In the US, it's a different model because it's professionalized. So when you hear about a senior international officer, that is their full-time job, right? So they may be a faculty member, but they're a senior international officer first, and that is their full-time job. So when you see for my board member, whether it's Samba Jang or it's Stephen Apiapadi, they're senior international officers. They can teach in the different departments, but that's their job number one. So it's much more sustainable model. And I'm not suggesting that that be necessarily the model, but if there's a model of rotation, you need to think about the amount of time, and you have to think about the coordination with the schools.
Oh, you would agree with me that our speaker has done justice to the topic, and then the interaction has been so fantastic. Let us appreciate our speaker. Let's show her love. Thank you so very much. Oh, please, let's keep doing it for her, even as she takes a seat. That was a fantastic lecture. The chairman would have his closing remarks, but let me introduce a few dignitaries who are here with us. First on the list is our chairman, in the person of Professor Moses Jojo Egan. He is the Provost, College of Agric and Natural Sciences. Prof, thank you so much for agreeing to share this program. We have the Registrar of the University, Mr. Gideon Enoch Abekwe, Esquire. Thank you so much, sir. And then our speaker, Dr. Fanta Ao. She is the CEO and then the lecturer for this morning's program. Thank you so much, Doc. We also have in our midst Professor Philip Ibo Bonzi Simpson. He is the former Vice Chancellor, Gimpa, Methodist University, Ghana. Thank you so much, Prof. We are grateful for your time. In our midst is Professor Kwame Osei-Kwarteng. He is the Provost, College of Humanities and Legal Studies. Prof, thank you so much for coming. We also have Mr. Ebenezer Agri. He is a college registrar, College of Humanities and Legal Studies. Thank you so much, sir. We have Mr. Isaac Adom Kunedu. He is the Directorate of Human Resource. Thank you, Director. Dr. Mrs. Rita Ajovi. She is the Director for Counseling Center. Thank you so much, Director. Dr. Mrs. Karen Arthur, Director, DHAB. We have Professor Emmanuel Amofori, the Director, Confucius Institute. Thank you so much, Prof. Professor Mrs. Sarah Dakwa, she is the Dean, School of Graduate Studies, University of Cape Coast. Thank you. Mr. Solomon Fache is the lawyer for the University of Cape Coast. Mrs. Gladys Atajemfi Abekwe, Deputy Registrar, DHR. Ms. Elizabeth Yanka, Administrative Secretary, Vice Chancellor's Office. And then we also have Dr. Stephen Apia. He is a member of the NAFSA. Thank you so much, Doc, for coming. We are grateful. We have Ms. Dr. Samba Dien. Thank you so much, sir. We have Mr. Kizito Akum. He is an Assistant Registrar, University of Education, Center for International Programs. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. We have Ms. Patience AEC. She is Administrator, University of Education, Winneba. And then Dr. Ebo Atom. He is the Dean, CCTU International Office. Thank you so much for coming. We'll invite the chairman for his closing remarks. Shall we invite our chairman, even as he comes, to give us his closing remarks? Thank you so much.
Thank you, MC. So, I'm wondering what summary I'm supposed to do because this speech or this lecture really came from an eloquent, distinguished speaker. And to attempt to disintegrate or summarize what she just delivered, I'm wondering if I'm marked, whether I will get a D. But I'll try, because I don't want to fail. If I get less than a D, that means that I failed. I have to come and do it again. So I need just a pass. So our distinguished speaker, Dr. Fanta, giving us thought-provoking information on advancing internationalization, international education exchange program, and also partnership between African higher education institutions and NAFSA. So she's explained to us what NAFSA is about, and she's also been able to tell us that this year NAFSA is 76 years old. Let's clap for that. I'm saying we should clap for that because our university is not close to NAFSA. So it means that NAFSA existed before our university started. So it tells you how versatile NAFSA is. So, and to be a CEO over there too, congratulations. Thank you very much. And we are happy to have you here. So as you all saw, she put it up clear that for internationalization, it's something that we really have to hone on it. We have to make sure that it's the way to go. We have to add it to our curriculum. We have to add it to our way of life and everything that we do into the university because that is the best way to go. And she also made mention that for academics and also for the students, we should all do well to recognize internationalization. For the academics, she urged that our goal should be to train the young generation to be able to meet the world at large. And that means that if we train you well or we provide the right training, you'll be able to make the world a better place for all of us to live in. Dr. Fanta also made comments on the need for students to have some internationalization experience. And I believe that it's something that every faculty or department should be looking at it and add it to their curriculum. I would say that we're doing our best, but it's not the best in terms of the number of students that we have. But as you said, it is better to have a few to have it so that they can come and inculcate it in their various departments and then their colleagues. So, and he also mentioned that governments are doing their best. But again, we all know if we take our own country here, the government is doing its best, but we said Oliver asked for more, so we asked him for it. But she also made mention that there's the need for us to leapfrog with technology. And as such, she believes that we should rather look at the digital platforms to be able to have links with international partners. She also looked at we making sure that our curriculum has benefits from the international partners so that we can really make sure that we are training our students for the 21st century. She did also to put across that there's the need to work together by leveraging on the partnership that we have. And I believe that, as you said, we have a lot of MOUs, as you just said, but we really need to take a look at it and see how best they will benefit both sides. You also believe that there should be research collaboration. And again, she did mention on the mobility. And this will really be a part. I would say that for that internationalization aspect, Prof, it is something that we really have to take a look at. Because myself, I did my PhD in UCC here, but I got this international experience by almost every year, spending about 3 months in a European laboratory. And that really helped. So I think it's really good that we need to continue with that. We're doing our best, but as I said, it's one at a time. I mean, the whole department, you just have one person who will go and come, but it's better than not even doing it at all. Right. So here again, she also shared with us that collaborative efforts should be made. And he believes that NAFSA is ever ready to collaborate with us as required. And he believes that once we log on to NAFSA, they will do well to connect us and see to it that we are benefiting from the partnership that we are in. She did also make mention that in terms of collaborative research, we shouldn't just be receivers. I mean, he believes that we shouldn't look at collaborative research or collaboration as a mere aspect of charity. And I think it's something that really hits some of us well, because anytime we look for collaboration, internalization, we are looking at what the donor or the other partner is coming to give to UCC. But she's open and eyed that we shouldn't be looking at it in that respect. We should rather, look at it in terms that what can we learn from them? What can the partner also learn from us? And she believes also that there should be that respect. The international partner should respect, in terms of the African institutions, and then the African institutions also should do respect that of the international collaboration. He believes that with that, we'll go forward in understanding what really internationalization and partnership is about. She did also mention that she believes that when it comes to internationalization, it should be more of knowledge sharing. And we need to identify the strengths of each partner and then be able to leverage on it. I think I've done enough for more than a D, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. I got an A. Thank you. My professor of marked me, says I got an A. So thank you very much, Prof, for coming to deliver this, and we are very happy you're here. We wish you stay longer. As the Vice Chancellor said, he said spend some time around, and we hope to see you more. So thank you very much for coming. And thank you all for coming to listen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you. Professor has given Chairman an A. Thank you so much. So all too soon, our lecture has come to an end. We want to receive a closing prayer from the Director of Confucius Institute in the person of Professor Emmanuel Mofori. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Shall we be upstanding as we take the closing prayer? Father, we want to thank you this morning. We are grateful unto you for always the opportunity you grant us to be in your presence. We want to commit, oh God, our internationalization agenda into your hands as a university. It is our prayer that you continue to let UCC be a torchbearer in terms of education in the world. May your presence continue to be with us as we lead this church as a university. We commit our speaker into your hands, O God. Wherever, O God, she stands, we ask for illumination. We ask for your strength, O God, to be with her in the mighty name of Jesus. It is our prayer that, Father, committing even, O God, the leaders of this university, as we chart this path of progress, may you continue to give them more ideas, continue to enlighten them. May you continue to shine the path of this university so that whatever that we do, we will succeed in it. We thank you. We bless you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. So kindly resume your seats. We'll take a group photograph with the speaker and then the guests from NAFSA. We want to thank all of you for making time to participate in this lecture. My name is Frank Boachi Yadom, and I've been your MC from the Directorate of Public Affairs. So our guest speaker, the team, with all due respect, will take the group picture at the podium or at the platform. And then, is there any announcement from Office of International Relations? All right. Doc, so we want to have a group photograph.